So the new stuff is finally dealt with, and that means it's time to relax a bit from all of this nonsense, but what will I talk about today? What? Oh, a video game? Why not? It's not like I have any better things to talk about. So during these last 2 years, I watched one of my colleagues play a game called Spiral Knights. Spiral Knights is a graphical multiplayer network game. I'm saying this because the last multiplayer game I played was some mud about Bulgarian independence war on a very old internet that cost a lot and quite often. After that, me and my previous master tried to play some graphical MMOs, and I wasn't impressed, mostly because they looked like Muslim hell, and secondly because they were all painfully generic and samey. Until 2002, I could name you only 4 graphical multiplayer games that I could watch and don't have a stroke. But after that I died and kinda never had the opportunity to see the others, sorry about that. Oh yeah, Knights. The game tells us a wonderful story about some creatures, might be humans, that crash landed on some planet and do what any reasonable human would do, create a colony, murder any opposition and start to actively interfere in local politics, giving little shit about anything or anyone, only to dig to the center of the planet, for some reason. As far as I understood, they want to drain all energy out of it and return to their historical homeland because, again, fuck the locals. Definitely humans. The gameplay... I liked it. It's something that I always sought in these graphical MMOs but could never find. Real-time, more or less battles. Most of these games even now are more turn-based than real-time, and often enough your equipment and game level has more value than your actual skill in controlling your character. I never felt like that in Spiral Knights. With my instructions, my colleague managed to solo missions that were considered to be impossible for one player, and in some cases he wasn't even hurt or anything, while his equipment was essentially first level. Combine that with amusing lore, cute graphics, and not-so-annoying sound, and yeah, I was having fun. For the first 2 months. The moment game's novelty value drops is when you see that the game is painfully underdeveloped and literally is on the verge. Arcade, the local equivalent of an open world, is essentially useless because the reward for it is significantly less than that of a mission with much more work. PvP exists, but I thought it's pointless, besides there are only 2 modes for it. The missions themselves are not only few in number, but to progress into other ranks and subsequently missions, you'll have to upgrade your equipment with guess what? Right! Money or months of replaying the same missions, usually the boss one cause the reward is better. Although in game's defense, it does have a lot of equipment, even though it's not that creative. Besides this, there is nothing else to do in the game. Maybe the game has some sort of special events or something. Yeah, but most of them usually have a time limit after which you can go and eat dick. But to compensate that, you can buy costumes! Lots and lots of costumes that make your character look like he ran away from a Mardi Gras, but what's the point of them I never understood. He can be as fancy as you want, but it's not gonna change anything, and I'm not talking about efficiency, I'm talking about gameplay as a whole. What is the point in buying costumes if your character would act and react the same way in any of them? Why does my character, dressed as a local satanist, doesn't praise Henry VIII or something? And in the end, with the exception of missions, there is nothing interesting or of value in the game, and the moment you finish them all, you can just delete the game entirely, and considering that it's also free, there's a high chance that the creators will have jack from it, and rightfully so. If you enter the game now, you'll see an empty server with a few people here and there. I heard that the game changed its owner, but these problems were there even when my colleagues started playing, so why should I care? And the saddest part of all this is that this problem is not new to me, and is prevalent in real-time strategies that I actually play when I'm allowed to use those flexible plastic hands. I'm certain that this problem has a name, but I personally call it the rush. Here's how it works. You make a game, dump it into the market, and forget about its existence, thinking that players, fans, will create new content by themselves. There are 2 problems with this. 1, the industry doesn't work like that, even in case of exceptions from the rules. 2, unlike strategies, these multiplayer games never allowed the players to make their own content, and never will. Here's my advice to any person who wants to make a game of any continuous genre. Constantly update your game. Throw new weapons and maps, fix the old ones, fix the balance, create new factions, etc. People aren't gonna do your work for you if you clearly show them that in best case you're not interested, and worst, you're interested in something else. Using Spiral Knights as an example, instead of creating useless costumes, the devs could spend the same time on creating new missions, or at least making some unique items or recipes that could only be found in the arcade. That would make ventures into that boring place at least somewhat useful. Instead of creating pets, essentially skills, and abandoning the idea, you could evolve it. More pets, more skills, more everything. Blizzard Entertainment Entertainment mastered this approach even before they made millions of dollars. Warcraft 1 and 2 are not only supported to this very day, but also the last patch for the second game was published in 2008, I think. But enough of me whining. The moral of this is simple. To create a good game, especially multiplayer one, you must first and foremost always support it, both morally and physically, with not only add-ons, but also smaller updates, and secondly, never try to chew more than you can swallow. A game that once a week makes something new with 1,000 loyal fans that slowly trickle profit is much better than a game that was just dumped into the market and closed after a month because people got bored of it. Oh yeah, my owners told me that the previous episode didn't have enough jokes, so please listen to this symphony.